and welcome to Women's Wealth, brought to you by CM Trading. My name is Titilayo Oyinsan. Thanks for joining us. On this show, we aim to empower women of all ages and backgrounds to take control of their financial futures. Now, this show provides practical advice, insightful tips, and inspiring success stories that will help women navigate the complex world of personal finance, entrepreneurship, wealth management, and so much more, whether you're a seasoned investor or a first-time entrepreneur, or maybe even just simply looking to improve your financial literacy. Women's Wealth has something for you. Why not scan the QR code on your screen right now and get some more information on how to build lasting wealth, financial security. Coming up on today's episode, we're going to open up our vault where some financial literacy secrets are stored. We're going to crack our vault open to find out more about what stockbrokers call the January effect. In our everyday exchange, we're going to be having a great conversation today with an amazing individual. You need to stay close for this one. We're going to be joined by Jennifer Ariwigwe, aka Financial Jennifer. She's a personal finance expert, an investment banker, certified financial education instructor, chartered accountant, and stockbroker. She's amazing. She's going to join us in the studio to discuss the role of social and cultural norms shaping women's financial behaviors. Up next, we'll be going over what's happening in the money markets, and we'll be hearing from Dr. Fred Razak. He's going to be giving us some investment tips that'll help us on our financial literacy journey and help you while you're trading in the financial markets. And that's not all. Finally, we're going to be doing our WWM. No, I'm not talking about wrestling. I'm talking about women's wealth management. In order to manage our wealth properly, we need to look into some commodities that we could trade. Today, we're looking at Brent Crude oil. We'll take a glance at what sort of commodity it is and how we women can grow our wealth with these commodities in the market. Now, let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this. Hello and welcome back. You're watching Women's Wealth, brought to you by CM Trading. It's time for us to open up our vault, and we're talking about the January effect. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the January effect? Now, the January effect, according to the people in the financial world, is perceived seasonal increase in stock prices during the month of January. Of course, after analysts generally attribute this rally to an increase in buying, it follows a drop in the price that typically happens in December when investors engaging in a tax loss harvesting offset realize some capital gains, of course, because of Christmas. And that prompts a sell-off. Another possible explanation is that investors use year-end cash bonuses to purchase investments in the following month, which is January. And now, how did this come about? Historical returns seem to support the idea of the January effect, with the month of January, of course, experiencing average gain of about 1% for the S&P 500 since the year 1950. However, the performance is no guarantee of future returns, and the January effect doesn't always bear fruit. So now it's the start of a brand new year, and of course, investors might be looking to benefit from the January effect, and you can too. Maybe you should, but make sure that you purchase investments that will pay off in the long run. Make wise investment decisions, people. Be risk averse. The Vault today is wrapping up with that, and watching Women's Wealth, brought to you by CM Trading. That's the friend you can trust to give you necessary leverage to thrive in the financial markets. After the break, we have Everyday Exchange. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time for our Everyday Exchange conversation. It's going to be a good one. Now, financial literacy is the ability to understand and manage one's finances effectively. Unfortunately, many women are not adequately prepared to handle their finances due to various reasons, including social and cultural biases, unequal access to education and resources, and sometimes societal expectations that prioritize men's financial decision-making abilities. So it's essential for women to become financially literate and take an active role in financial planning to secure their financial future, if you understand what I mean. Now, that's why we're here. And women often face unique financial challenges such as pay gaps, career interruptions, caregiving responsibilities can be a hindrance, and a longer life expectancy, which can lead to a higher likelihood of living in poverty in old age. Societal and cultural norms play certain roles in shaping women's financial behaviors. That's why we have our guest ready to dissect this topic before. Today, we are joined by Financial Jennifer. She is a personal finance expert and investment banker. She's the founder of FinTribe, Nigeria's first and largest women-only finance community, with over 20,000 women trained in personal finance and thousands guided on their investment journeys. She's known as the Women Money Cheerleader, and she's engaging a vibrant audience of over 120,000 people daily on social media. Financial Jennifer's professional experience, however, spans auditing, aviation, treasury operations, fixed income securities, trading, fintech treasury operations, as well as being a certified financial education instructor, a chartered accountant, a stockbroker. She also envisions a future with more empowered women, confidently making better financial decisions. She is building a healthy savings investment portfolio for quite a few people through her teachings, and she has a very simplified platform. She was actually listed as one of the top 50 rising motherland moguls in 2023 by She Leads Africa. Welcome, Financial Jennifer!
Hi, T. Thank you so much for having me. You know, when I saw the topic, women's world, I'm like, I need to be here. I need to be here. If the discussion is about women and money, I got to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, no, really. Who else will I invite now? Who else? Really, there's just so much going on in the world of finance that it's alarming that a lot of women are not aware of what they can do. And the topic was just so important to me. This issue of social and cultural norms and how it shapes women's financial behavior. So there's an attitude women have about money that I feel sometimes is just very alarming. And I just thought you, in your experience, have probably come across so many different situations and scenarios. And I know you're ready to share them with us.
Okay, sure. So I'm really glad we're having this conversation because these things are there. We try it, of course, nobody can deny there are no bias when it comes to women and finance. But I would like us to, let me answer this question with stories because that way it's more relatable. We are able to see these things in our everyday life. The first one, let me talk about myself briefly with this one. So my family, my mother, I'm just like her. If you like me, you will definitely like her. That one is a hustler, oh my God. So I pick a lot of my, I like money. I got that from her. I like businesses. She's a hustler. I got everything from her. So I'm doing a lot of things. Aside from my work, I try to go into business. Whatever is happening, Jennifer wants to choke head. Is this where the money is? Let's get into there. So my mother supports me in her own capacity. But there is this thing she will always add at the end of most conversations. So she would say, let me start this in Igbo. Nigeria, why yo? I should take it easy. Maybe when I now marry, I can now blow. Okay. In her mind, she's doing me a favor because she understands how busy I am, and she feels like maybe if I had a helping hand or something. But then I have an older brother. He's not married, and no one is telling him to slow down. In fact, they're even pushing him. Oh yeah, go out there, do more. And yes, me, Jennifer, doing more and asking me to slow down. Why? That is one. So there is this post I made the other day about a lady I used to know when I was growing up. We call her Lolo Tessie. This lady back then, there's this salon my mom goes for her hair, and I think Tessie also goes to the same salon, and then things started to happen, and I overheard the story one of those days when I was there with my mom. So here is Lolo Tessie's story. She got married. If you go to the import line in Main Market Onitsha, I grew up in Onitsha. So if you go to the import line, I mentioned Lolo Tessie, everyone knows her. Back then, early 2000s, everybody knows this woman. She runs a business with her husband that into importation. This business, yes, was started by her husband before she was married. But then the business was struggling. The man was just doing regular buy and sell, normal Igbo businessman and everything. Then Tessie came in. When she got married, there's this thing Igbos do. I think most cultures do it, where they send forth the daughter in marriage. In her own case, she got this bulk money, as we call it Idulo. She got this bulk money to live with her. She poured it into the business. She resigned from her job. She was a graduate. The husband is not. All these Omo boys start your own business. So she resigned from her work, got into the business with the husband. Oh my God. Tessie was fire. This woman was fire. Well, immediately she got in a brilliant businesswoman. Business took up. Tessie was signing partnership with all these Chinese direct manufacturers. She was signing up wholesalers. The business just moved to an import business. This was a business that was just doing small, buy from this person, sell to this person. Now they became one of the major importers in that import line in Onitsha. Business was doing good. But that same energy was not replicated in their marriage. For some years, they didn't have a child. And it was causing some friction, some problems they were trying to contain. But the one that made everything to scatter, before we know it, we say Oga don't give sales get belle inside market. People were saying, is it true? Is it possible? And all of that. We don't know. But the man was like, you know how it is now. He has vindicated him that they said he's impotent. But now there was rumor that that's not his child, but he doesn't care. His own is that
there's a child.
Did you get that he was going to marry her? And there was Tessie. She couldn't have it. I don't know, but long story short, marriage scattered. That was not the thing. The thing now was that Tessie left with nothing, with nothing.
Wow.
This was a woman that built a business to become one of the highest inside the market. They had properties, they bought buildings there in Onitsha, cars, everything. But she left with nothing. How does she want to start? The business was registered in the husband's name.
Wow.
All the properties they were buying, husband's name. She's a good Christian woman now. She will not come and be dragging, my name is not on this property. So she was fine with all of it. She didn't see it coming. They never see it coming. Do you get? So it was so annoying. Whenever I think of this story, like I get upset because today these things are still happening. That is not all. We've had stories of maybe the young brilliant student. She's doing well in school, full of life. She's waiting to graduate and start her life, start a career, start a business, and then maybe in her final year or during school she gets married, or maybe fresh from school she gets married.
So
and
all
the next
her
day,
dreams?
that's not all. Maybe they will not say pregnancy will start, because that's always the thing. And they might be like, okay, take it easy, can you take a break, let the give birth, let the child grows. And young girl, she can't say no.
Of course.
And then it's first kid, second kid, third kid. These kids are all grown in school. 20 years later, she's still at home, not sure what to do with her life. Life has moved on. The marketplace has moved on as well. Certificate from 20 years ago, from
it's
25 years ago.
anymore.
Do you get? Even if it's relevant, where does she start?
Wow.
Does she want to go and compete entry level with 18 years old, 20 years old that are like in line with what is happening? This one is there, like not sure what to do with her life. That's not all. We have the other set of women, girls now, rich husband, doing them well, pampering them, going on trips.
The trophy
like,
wife.
Okay, you could call it that. And sometimes they actually have their own business, maybe one big boutique, which you check, her name might not even be on the documentation, but it's her own. Things are looking fine, but then someday Oga realizes that I need a fresh blood, maybe 18-year-old girl, 20-year-old girl, and then before you know it, madam is, maybe she can't take it, or if she decides I don't want this, she's out. And then where does she start?
So there's
boutique.
so many similar stories.
Do you get?
It feels like everything is leaning a little bit towards ignorance. Not even a little bit.
Exactly.
A lot towards ignorance. Because there are some things that in every scenario could have been put in place that would have prevented it from becoming a disaster.
Sure.
So let's stop figuring out the problems now. Let's try and figure out some solutions. What exactly can women do? What can we do to overcome these challenges in a cultural context? Because it feels like, you mentioned your mom. from the home front. It starts from home.
Yeah.
If, for instance, you have a young lady or a young man in your home right now, what sort of advice should you be giving them as they grow up? What can we do to overcome this challenge?
Okay, I love that you mentioned family because that's where it all starts. If you look at homes today, maybe the father calls the son come, they're gisting about business, they're watching the news, discussing what is happening, and then the mother drags her to the kitchen. You have to learn how to cook. You have to learn how to sweep. That's how you marry a big husband. You marry a good man. You need to learn how to be a wife. And then at the end of the day, the lady is grown. She doesn't really know much about money, about her finance. She just knows how to cook a goosey soup, knows how to wash. And so I think we should start from the family level. Parents should balance these things out for their children. Many of us, we didn't learn financial education right from childhood, which I believe that if we are able to remove this gender something, as you are talking to your son about business, about how he can become something to be able to take his family in the future, let's include our daughters. They need that discussion as well. They need that training. That is one. Two, I also love that you mentioned it, is ignorance. So most times, these women, they don't actually know these things. They don't actually know that they could do these things. You know, I write a lot about these things. I have a community, FinTribe, and even on my social media pages, Financial Jennifer, I write so much about women, financial education and women. Most of the men will ask me, how about us? I don't know, guys. You always be fine. I'm here for the girls. So, you see, there's some topics I would want to write. You may feel like, this is basic knowledge now. Is there a need?
But you'd be surprised.
You post these things and you see hundreds of women be like, oh, Jennifer, really? How can I do this? How can I do that? I'm like, oh my God. So this knowledge, there is a knowledge gap. That's where I recommend financial literacy. Women should make conscious effort to learn about money, learn about your finance, learn about investment. And thankfully these days, the internet makes it a whole lot easier.
You've gone where I wanted to go next.
Okay, yeah.
Because we need to find a balance. This issue of culture means that a woman does not want to neglect her home. She doesn't want to neglect her kids or her family. She wants to be right there while her husband comes back from work, but still have control over her own money and make her own money.
It's too much.
Right?
It's too much. But thankfully, we have so many women that are trying to strike a balance, that are doing well here, that are doing well there, but we don't have enough women. And another thing I have to add to this is, you know, I think we as women, we've internalized a lot of the things, a lot of the social constructs, the limitation, we've internalized them. So some of us believe that as a woman, it's not in my place to do this or do that. So you see women in politics, they want to go for a position, they want to run for a position. The first road they're going for, deputy, I want to be a deputy.
Wow.
Why can't she be the person at the front line? Why can't she by the forward? Do you know, during this last election, was it in Nasarawa State, when initially we thought a woman was going to emerge, we were happy, and that's when it dawned on me, like, hold up. This is 2023, and Nigeria, we still don't have a female governor. Why? On our own part, as the women in politics, I know most times you don't even think of these things. Let's just do the deputy. And even that aside, even if we get the bold ones and say, okay, I want to be the governor, I want to run for president, with the party take her serious. But that's by the way. So I want us as women to, some of the things we've internalized, let's begin to dismantle them. Yes, the society may not really have 100% for us, but thankfully things are balancing out. I really appreciate that things are balancing out.
Jennifer, on that note, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
You're still watching Women's Wealth. Stay with us. Hello and welcome back. You're still watching Women's Wealth. My name is Titilayo Oyinsan. Thanks so much for joining us. It's time for our everyday exchange. And today, we're going to be having a really interesting conversation. Now, this show is dedicated to empowering women to achieve financial independence and, of course, success. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing the roles of social and cultural norms in shaping women's financial behaviors. Now, the importance of financial literacy is very key, and why every woman should take part in some kind of financial planning. By increasing financial literacy, women can gain the knowledge and skills to manage their finances, make informed decisions about saving and investing, and then plan even for retirement. In addition, financial literacy can empower women to negotiate for higher salaries, for benefits, reduce their debt, and improve on their credit scores. In this discussion, we're going to explore the benefits of financial literacy for women, of course, the challenges they may face in achieving financial independence, and practical steps they can take to improve on their financial literacy and planning. We're joined in the studio by an amazing person, Adeyinka Ashaolu. Now, she is a development consultant. She is a certified financial literacy education coach. She is the founder, executive director of WISE Foundation. Her portfolio includes strategic leadership on programs and partnerships that promotes youth engagement, empowerment, focused on empowering youth with crucial life skills in the area of financial literacy and economic empowerment. Self-awareness, personal effectiveness, that's all her watchword. She has robust field and personal coaching experience in the development of business and youth engagement products. Now, she's also developing products for financial literacy space as well. Adeyinka is a robust professional with experience at the International Finance Corporation. She's a member of the World Bank Group on Access to Finance, focused on credit information reporting, collateral, registries, and financial inclusion. She also has other experience in credit reporting, entrepreneurship, and economic development at the Abuja Enterprise Agency and an internship at the Bank of Industry. Currently, she's a volunteer mentor at the Cherie Blair Foundation for Women's Mentoring Women in Business. It's great to have her. Adeyinka Ashaolu is here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Titi. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me. Short profile of what you're doing. I think it's amazing. Thank you so very much. Important because women don't think we're as much as what we are, and we don't think we have a right to as much opportunities as we actually do. Meanwhile, maybe we do. And then we need to be conscious about how we assess them, how we get them, how we take advantage of them. So I think your platform is contributing a lot to the education, most importantly, of women, because we're as good as the quantity and the quality of the information that we have access to.
You know what? You've hit the nail on the head in so many ways, especially with regards to this topic, the role of cultural norms when it comes to women's financial education, because there's the social issues, there's the cultural norms that have shaped women's mindsets, and I think that was actually something that affected me and held me back from doing this and producing this show for quite a while. We had discussions on this for quite a while.
I know, and then we kept
procrastinating. We kept pushing,
looking for perfection. Many times we actually look for perfection, and there's nothing as such. It's just a journey. Even for financial and building wealth, I want to attain financial sustainability. Everything is a journey. If you're waiting until the circumstances are perfect. Recently, someone told me, let me just relate this to me. I'm as guilty as you are. And people say, oh, you're not active on social media. Oh, you're not this and that. And I'm like, well, I'm so good where I am. Let me do the offline bit. And then people looked at, okay, it's not even about, I don't want to make so much noise. I'm impacting as much people as I can. And like, okay, so yes, you're doing what you, but there are many more people who need opportunities like this, information like this, and you also are going to be better off from what it is. So yes, we keep waiting.
So where did this all start from? This issue of our financial behavior, what actually shapes it from the beginning?
Okay, so I think this is an interesting topic. It's very wide. When you talk about women and the money mindset, it's a whole ball game altogether. Okay, so first of all, it starts from how we are raised, our nurture. You know, you have children. This happened even in my home just last week. I have a daughter, and she was jumping on an ottoman.
Okay.
And someone in the home says, "Stop jumping. Don't you know? Why are you jumping like a boy? You're going to hurt yourself like that." But when the boys are jumping, what we are trying to avoid is from them breaking our tables and You understand?
want to break it.
You want to break it, or you want to break. You really don't care. If you hurt yourself, you get better as a boy.
Yeah, as a boy.
But girls are subconsciously, many times, even those who are doing it are subconsciously not allowing. It's a whole lot of factors. And so, why are you eating? Why are you behaving like that? Girls don't do that. So there is, in history, or maybe in Africa, to an extent, in history, it's been like, okay, so it's a man's place to bring money home.
Okay.
And the economic conditions of the world kind of like shifted that angle, because a woman was traditionally viewed as the major caregiver. Things have changed.
Of course.
And in many places, so much has not changed. And so you find that, I'm just using this as an angle, as this is our nurture. So I'm a girl, and then I'm told, you know what? Girls are really not supposed to be going into sciences. Yes, you want to be a structural engineer. How are you going to be climbing roofs? Oh, I want to be doctors. It took a while for women to go into spaces of doctors and becoming doctors, engineers, lawyers. Some professions took more years for women to be able to advance into that. And it's a case of, we put gender roles, which are not supposed to be the case, to restrict. And many times I say it unconsciously.
So there is an unconscious gender discrimination, basically. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
And it's not anyone's fault exactly, but it does feel like we need to make a turnaround. We need to make a shift. We need to make a change. But where do we begin?
It's also still back at home.
Okay.
Because what transcends to the highest level is institutionalization of these ideas. But before that, people have been given this idea in their heads from their homes. So if my dad or my mom says, you find girls in the new age whose parents constantly encouraged to do some things that were considered out of that gender, or making a lot of waves in that place. They have considered themselves, oh, there's nothing I can do by myself. These are, oh, my dad said, or my mom said that I can become anything that I want to be. And then, because we've also had recently foremost women breaking some of those biases, and then it's like a second level test to say, oh, so if she can, then I can do it as well. But it goes back home. So when somebody is saying, this is just one part of it, and this also feeds into, it's saying about education from the home, education in schools, education as we talk about opportunities.
Okay.
So cultural, I've spoken about coming from the homes, and the perception that is tended towards a girl to say, oh, there's some roles you can't play, there's some things you can't do, there's some of these things. Part of those roles, cultural roles, also move into marriages. And they say, practical, this one is practical. I know someone who happened to, oh, you can't earn more than my son.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the guy was enjoying himself because they were both contributing to the homes, and he made his life easier. Responsible guy.
Okay. So thankfully that was the situation. But the thing is, it does feel like in some cases, because of the cultural norms, or let's say social beliefs that people have just become accustomed to, it doesn't feel like we notice the opportunities that are out there. Let's talk a bit about the opportunities that actually exist for women in finance.
There are a lot of opportunities for women, be it in business, professional, white collar space. And interestingly, recently, there is a huge gap. UNIDO has reports that talks about the gender gap, inequality that we have. And it's almost as much as 70 to 30% of women in technical roles. Sorry, I beg your pardon. 80 to 20. I'll have to check that figure in technical roles. So I had someone who was in management position for a technical role, and at some point in the department there were only men. He had to take a conscious upskilling when the opportunities presented themselves for you. And she was the first person who got into a technique. So you have those kind of things. And then from bringing those mindsets from the homes, now it has transcended into, can I study this? Career counseling or course counseling in schools to say, this is part of also financial literacy education in the schools. So now, are we exposing them to say, you can be this? It is not a gender role. You can become this. And so while we're pushing this, one of my friends, we had a training recently, and he says, you know what? I picked up a friend's daughter from school, from a boarding house, just last week. And he says, and I was asking her, using the opportunity of the travel, to say, okay, so what do you want to be? And he says, I'd like to be something I'm going to art class because I don't want to mention this career path because it's not what do you call it? It's not inferior to the others, but I don't want to offend those who are in that place. It's somewhere. And so he's asking, why are you not looking at these others? So he put in somewhere in the sciences, in between commercial and sciences, and he said, well, I don't know, but she's in GS3. And she's going to resume in SS1, and she's going to pick her core subjects that will determine what she's going to do in her senior secondary and all of those things.
So you have to start early. We have to start grooming them early. We have to start making a conscious or more intentional move, especially with the young people. But it also feels like there are other common mistakes that parents have been making when it comes to building a culture of financial literacy for their, especially female children. All right, at this point, I think we should take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. The Everyday Exchange continues. Now, there are so many little mistakes that parents, families are still making. We need to see how we can mitigate these issues. Let's start from the home. How do we begin?
They are not little. They may be done unconsciously, but they form the background, the foundation on which the human beings, the girls, the women that we interact with in everyday life have been built. They have a perception that some kind of roles, even from the home, chores. You have parents saying that boys can't cook. Why? Why are you guys allowing that girl? Why are you following them to wash the cars?
Okay.
I wash cars.
Wow.
I detail cars very well.
Wow.
Yes. So I have a son who is going to 10, and so we have started. I'm the one who actually made it wait this much because I was thinking, when you think, oh, maybe the water will be too hot. This won't be. And this is what happens, really, because we also made these mistakes. So why not allow them to? Okay, so it's from the nurture, the mindset. And every form of success or behavior is hinged on a mindset. Right.
So there has to be intentionality in this.
There has to be an intentionality, and there has to be a consciousness, because if you are not conscious that you're doing this and we are now bringing it out, then people or parents will go back home and say, okay, maybe you would even discover that maybe once or twice you have said, why are you jumping like a boy? Why are you so rough like a boy? Why not speak like a boy? Just be calm like her. You're like a girl.
You're a lady.
Yes.
Okay.
So then we start from there. And then we ensure that financial literacy can go into the schools. It starts from home. And then, because if you don't have that education, or if you're not conscious of equipping your children with that education, when they get to school and somebody says something that's opposite of what is right, I don't want to call it wrong, but you are not in a position to even correct the children, then the schools should try and see that we have some form, especially in strategic classes, to have, some career counseling, so that we don't wake up tomorrow and everybody, I love all my friends who are in this, somebody did a very lovely makeup for me today.
Okay.
They are not only doing makeups,
Okay.
they are not only singing.
Okay.
We dance well, we love our musicians, but we can't all be that. Now there is a huge gap in technical roles, in tech roles, and you find that, okay, so if all our children are going to arts, who's going to be the engineer that we need? Who are going to be the software developers? Who are going to be the people who are doing the product management in terms of tech?
Sure.
So we start from those. But if they don't have the information that he has, many times it's not the capacity. It's the encouragement that takes the child to that. And you say, why, you can do it. Why, what's there in chemistry that you can't do? Just go there and ace it. And because I hear that constantly from home and my teachers, then I say that I can ace this as much as is possible. And this mindset follows us into building professions. It builds policies in institutions that can accommodate men. Men and women are different. We are complementary. We cannot go against each other. That's the truth of the matter. We are complementary in whichever way. So in an organization, and I'm a tech person, so there has to be a policy that supports me. I'm going to give birth. I'm going to be married. And then in the homes where I'm being married to, if I earn more than my husband, then what happens? So we need to go back to this. You find women who make a lot of money, and they say you can't inherit, or you can't co-own. If you co-own, then it's a problem.
You know what? I really have so many questions, but I'm going to have to invite you back once again. You are amazing. And when we come back, we're going to talk about so many other great issues that need to be dissected.
Thank you so
the
much
amazing
for having
Adeyinka
me.
Ashaolu here.
Thank you, Titi.
You're still watching Women's Wealth. We have more for you after this. Hello and welcome back. You're watching Women's Wealth, brought to you by CM Trading. My name is Titilayo Oyinsan and I'm your money market monitor for today. So ladies, this is how it looks in the markets this week. Equities in Europe closed the first trading day of 2023 higher, with the regional stock 600 and the domestic DAX 40 adding almost 1% each, driven chiefly by real estate stocks, and investors took advantage of the lower valuations following a dismal 2022. The CAC 40 index closed at 1.8% higher, tracking the upswing in the major European bourses and starting the year on a strong note with support from energy shares, banks and luxury brands after tanking nearly 10% in 2022. Now, the Asian equity markets were mixed in holiday-thinned trade as at Monday, with most major bourses in the region remaining shut for the New Year's Day. Now, South Korean stocks edged lower and Indian shares gained, while other major markets, including Australia, Japan, mainland China, and Hong Kong, remain closed for the holidays. As for the crypto markets, the market is still experiencing a little bit of a decline, but there is hope that New Year's will bring a change. The global crypto market cap is presently $806.03 billion, and that's a 0.95% increase over the last week. Now, the total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is about $24.05 billion, which makes it about a 43.93% increase. Now, the total volume for DeFi is currently $1.73 billion. That's 7.18% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Now, the volume of all stable coins presently is $21.59 billion, which is 89.75% of the total crypto market. Bitcoin's dominance is currently at 39.86%, an increase of 0.21% over the last day. Though trading volume is expected to stay a little bit subdued as several major markets remain shut for New Year holidays, investors are hopeful and looking ahead for fresh catalysts for 2023. Now, we've received all your messages and your questions. To get some answers, let's ask Dr. Fred. We have with us Dr. Fred Razak from CM Trading to talk to us a little bit and give us some investment info that will be really helpful on your trading journey. Hi, Dr. Fred.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to your journey in taking control of your finances. My name is Fred Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CM Trading, and I'm here to answer your questions about finance and trading the financial markets. So the first question we have out on the table is, what exactly is Forex trading and how does it differ from other type of trading? So in order for us to look at the word Forex, we have to know that there's two words in Forex, foreign and exchange. You get Forex, the first 3 letters of foreign and the first 2 letters of exchange, and thereby you get Forex. Now, Forex symbols are basically 2 currencies that are traded within each other. Now, if I give you the following example, when you go to a grocery store and you purchase a product, now you're giving them money and you've bought the product. Now, from the store's perspective, they've sold you the product and they received money. So here's the interesting thing. I left out something about the money. You've actually sold them the money when you purchased the product. They've actually bought from you the money when they sold you the product. So it's a 2-way exchange here. And the same thing happens when you're trading Forex symbols. You're buying one and you're trading the other one. So for example, there's a base currency and a traded currency. So if you bought the Euro USD, you in essence bought the Euro, okay? Even though you're buying the USD as well. It's a Euro USD, right? So you're buying really the Euro, but you're selling the dollar, okay? That's a really important element of foreign exchange. Now, how does it differ from other types of trading? So I would argue that Forex symbols are the most liquid symbols in the markets. It's money being traded. There's nothing more liquid than money being traded in the markets. More than stocks, more than commodities, more than cryptocurrencies. It's as good as money is money to money, right? So it's the most traded at any given time. And because of that, it also produces the most amount of opportunities. Now, what are some of the benefits of Forex trading that individual investors can take? So that's exactly it. It allows individual investors to either trade the financial markets any given time of the day, almost, okay, depending where you are in the world, of course, but it gives you so many opportunities throughout the day to trade the financial markets. What are some of the biggest risks and challenges associated with Forex trading? So I would say that this is not just Forex trading, but any type of trading has a certain amount of risk. Now, if you know how to mitigate risk, then that is your answer. That is your answer to almost everything. Now, everything we do in life has an element of risk, right? When we go to work, there's an element of risk. And so much so that actuaries sit around and figure out what's the risk of any given person going into a car accident, and thereby they're able to produce costs for your car insurance or any other type of risk that we do. So there are risks in life, no matter what we do. Life equals risk, okay? You could even Google it, and that's just a reality. But mitigating risk, knowing how to take advantage of risk and managing it to make $2 with $1, which is a risk versus reward ratio, that's healthy. But to make $2 with $4 doesn't make any sense. It's too much risk, okay? So that's one of the biggest challenges, I think, for trading the financial markets just in general, but not just Forex symbols. I want to thank you for this opportunity to contribute to your journey in taking control of your finances. I'm Fred Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CM Trading. You can scan the QR code on your screen to join thousands of women like you learning about trading the financial markets. Or you could visit www.cmtrading.com/womenswealth.com. We'll see you here next time. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back. It's still Women's Wealth, brought to you by CM Trading. My name is Titilayo Oyinsan. I'm your market monitor for today, and it's time for WWM. No, we're going to slam you on the ground, but we might hit you with some really great investment focus from the market. We're focusing on Brent Crude today, and it's referred to a trading classification of sweet light crude oil. Now, it was first extracted from the Brent oil field in 1976, if you can imagine. Now, it became, interesting because the world became really dependent on oil prices. Politically, globally, major oil companies set crude oil prices until control shifted to the 1960s when it came to oil exporting countries. Now, for years, crude oil has been a major revenue driver for many African countries. Across the continent, crude deposits are abundant. Now, a report by Statista said that the continent's proven oil reserves stood at 125.3 billion barrels in 2021 alone. The following countries have the most reserves: Libya, Nigeria, Algeria, Angola, Sudan, Egypt, Congo-Brazzaville, Uganda, Gabon, Chad, and a few more. Now, Brent Crude futures closed at near $86 per barrel, gaining over 11% in a year marked by extreme volatility as various supply risks with persistent demands concerns. Now, the international oil benchmark reached a 14-year high of $137 per barrel, upending energy flows that have already been reeling from COVID-related disruptions. Now, due to its light and sweet nature, Brent Crude is preferred in refining oil to produce diesel, gasoline, and other end products. Now, Brent Crude is used to price at least 2/3 of the world's traded crude oil supplies, making it one of the most important oil benchmarks. With the gains it has been getting of recent, it's certainly an investment option, and possibly one for you. Now, there are claims that African oil and gas are expensive to produce, and we understand that in African countries, technology, knowledge, sometimes they're not necessarily where they need to be yet. That's going to impact the cost of operating in Africa. Now, there's also the idea that oil and gas projects in Africa are worse for climate change and climate than other regions of the world. And all the same, our energy industry continues to offer opportunities. It might be an opportunity for you to have significant return on investment. As African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina recently told African Business, Africa still has a great deal to offer in terms of energy investments. And sadly, economic empowerment of the women in the oil and gas industry remains an area that's insufficiently explored. Now, this is a wake-up call to invest and tap into these opportunities. And on this show, we seek to change the narrative and guide you through trading oil and keeping a keen eye on your investments. And that's all we have time for on today's edition of Women's Wealth, brought to you by CM Trading. My name once again is Titilayo Oyinsan. Why not scan the QR code on your screen now and move forward to your tomorrow today?